Hello, everybody. Welcome to Balikbayan Into the Dark, uh, generously set up by Agatha on Agents Represent. We're so excited to be here. And so I think this is a good opportunity for me to briefly talk about the game and have everybody introduce themselves and their characters. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Jammi. I use they, them pronouns, and I like making games. I like making a lot of games. Balikbayan is one of the first bigger games I worked on, and as I worked on it some more last night, I was like, wow, it's getting even bigger. We'll see how that goes. So you were all actually my guinea pigs as well. Thank you very much for this latest version of Balikbayan. And let's see. You can find me on Twitter at Temporal Hiccup and on Itch.io at Temporal Hiccup as well. I'm also one of the co-hosts for the Gauntlet podcast, where we talk about games that we played on the Gauntlet community. It's a lot of fun. And let's see about Balikbayan. So Balikbayan is a system. I'm sorry, it's a game that's based on the system belonging outside belonging, also known as no dice and no masters, meaning there are no dice. I am a semi-master. I will be running the game for everybody here tonight. But instead, we'll be using tokens. I can't wait to get into that today. And the world of Balikbayan returning home is one of elementals who were once powerful beings of magic, myth, and folklore from the Philippines, but over the centuries, over the generations, their magic was abused and used by humans, mainly the CORP. They are now part machine, part magic. There's a melding of the two. There's a symbiotic relationship going on with that. So we blend both myth, magic, machine in this game. So I'm super excited about it. So let's meet our characters. So we're going to go in the beloved tradition of character keeper order. So that means we're going to start with Leandro. Leandro, tell us about yourself and the Tikbalang you're playing.
Yeah, hi. My name's Leandro. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at lpondoc, which I have to keep saying it's not pronounced lpondoc, it's just spelled lpondoc. That's LPONDOC. I think you can see it there. Um, yeah, I'll save my plugs for the end of the show, in case for all the hardcore watchers who are still here. Um, but yeah, I am playing the aforementioned Tikbalang, which is like an elemental who has access to the memories of the earth, especially all the animals who are no longer with us because this world sucks. In this specific dystopia, my character's name is Yismeria. Uses any and all pronouns. They are a strange figure in that they appear as hollow screens hiding their true form, created out of many different animal parts. So it's a proper Scanner Darkly vibe where you're looking at a horse that's been melded with a Komodo dragon that's been melded with a bat, and then it's shifting. It's like, oh no, is that the octopus face? Oh, that's weird. They they kind of keep to themselves. He's a bit shy because his sense of self is a bit torn. According to the ridiculous backstory we came up with last week, they were originally like a spirit, a duende, who died and entered into the underworld, into Sulad, and as witnessed by one of the other characters, was subjected to like this process of melding several different other spirits, to create this new person, the aforementioned Yusmeria. Um, who is kind of oh they I think she's kind of aware that like that happened, but has been left adrift. This is kind of part of when we decided in world building that one of the desires of the hidden path was to painfully reshape elementals. Well, Ismeri is proof of that, being successful. Also, the person they used to be, the duende, was the one that's responsible for creating the enslavement protocols of the core. Yeah, I want to leave that behind. They don't want that out. So yeah, they're trying to find their place in the world, like most of us are. Um, Good luck to him.
Very cool, very cool. All right, and then Going down the line, so we're meeting Christin the Everlasting, our Dewata, played by Ting. So Ting, tell us about yourself and Christin.
Hi, I'm Ting, he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Christin the Everlasting, the Dwada. Uh, them, they use they them pronouns, and Christin is has control over all the elements like fire, water, wind, and earth. Uh, they appear to others as almost a two-dimensional autostereogram painting in human form, and but it's actually it's four distinct shapes, different different beings. Like when when their magic is when they embody their magic.
Awesome, awesome. All right. And then next we're meeting our saint, played by John. So, John, tell us about Xander and yourself.
How much are we doing about us? I don't remember. Is it
Oh,
just
like where
we
we can
doing?
find you.
Cool. Okay, so
And yeah,
plugs. Cool.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
Pretty
John.
sure.
You can find me over on Twitter at Ryamasa RY0MASA. I play this game on Wednesdays as well as an Entangled, which is an Expanse game on Thursdays over at Unmade Gaming. I feel like there's one I'm forgetting, but I've forgotten it. So that being said, we'll get right into the brass tacks. Xander is the saint, and was decidedly not very much of a saint prior to being that. If you are curious, there's a whole session 0 episode where we talk about it because it's a fucking essay at this point. So I'm going to skip it. But needless to say, Xander may or may not have been a good person or a bad person, probably the latter, prior to becoming the saint that they are now. And their goal is to essentially try to bring a little bit of light and hope to people as they go through, which will be interesting when they see potentially how much hope they snuffed out over the course of their own lifetime.
Absolutely. No big deal. So, just small things. All right. And then we're going to meet our Aswang. So, Connie, tell us about yourself and Grist.
Hey everybody, my name's Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter at by Connie Chung. I am also the GM and executive producer behind Transplanar RPG on Twitter, which is an all transgender, people of color led group of folks who play tabletop games. And yeah, I am playing for this Grist, our Aswang, who, as far as I can tell, is like a blood demon of fear and despair. So she's very edgy. She's very tall. She's very buff. She's very butch. And she is full of trauma and unprocessed issues. So I'm excited to play her, excited to meet her in play. And she's got a lot of tangled backstory shit going on with various characters that I can't wait to come out explosively in this campaign. And yeah, that's Grist. Excited to meet her more very soon.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, and then last but not least, we have our Santomo. So, Agatha, tell us about yourself and Mary.
Hi everyone. My pronouns are she, her, and you can find me on Twitter at Mighty Shrimp with two Y's. I am the co host of the Asians Represent podcast. I am also co host of the Friday stream that Asians Represent hosts called The Wrap Up, where we just talk about any topic that is relevant within the gaming community. Usually things. We've talked a lot about D&D so far. We also talked about Star Wars. So talking about things from an Asian perspective. It's actually really cool. I highly recommend going to check out the stream or checking our YouTube channel for all of the videos that we've uploaded from the streams, which is also Asians Represent. Now, in terms of Mary is the Santomo, which and she's kind of let's see, what is her vibe? Her vibe is she's the kind of like nostalgic, sad kind of spirit. So she's very much about like she's very closely connected with death and the way that and the kind of liminal space between death and life and the living beings or dead beings and like what that means has a lot. Before she became a Santomo, she was just a human and was related to Grist. But things happened, and and by things happened I mean things that we established in episode 0, which you should definitely check out. A lot of drama happened, and then Mary kind of died and then came back as this ghost thing, and I think there's a lot of unresolved conflicts that we will get to address in this game.
I kind of like it. She kind of died. And technically kind of died by Grist's hand. So there is that. Like, well, I mean, Grist was taking out a whole building, so that belonged to the Saint. You know, it's a really good session 0. I recommend everyone check it out when you can. So let me, before we get into our city and we get into play, I'd love to introduce some core concepts for playing the game, right? So I forgot to double check who else has experience, like I played with Leandra before, but who else has experience playing like belonging outside belonging games, like this kind of token moving in and out. Ooh, deliciosa. Okay, so oh, okay, Agatha, which one did you get to play?
I played. Wait, Leandro, which one did we play?
Oh, that. Oh, yeah. We played Grand Guignol.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. By Luke. Yeah.
Luke Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah. That's also a very good game. Victorian, supernatural. Yeah, hotness. I mean, other things too, but like, you know, I look at monsters and I just see.
Oh no! According to our
hotness.
game, it was just nothing but hotness. So.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was.
see. Okay, there you go. Luke makes very good games, and that one I feel like it's very easy to get hot. Okay, so with that in mind, so basically, the way that Balikbayan works is the core component is you have 3 sets of moves, right? So they're called the strong moves, the neutral moves, and the weak moves. So in order to and a lot of these moves are really open to interpretation, right? And they're a way to help you figure out like the fictional positioning or what would motivate your character, or it helps embodies their themes. And so in order to make a strong move, you need to spend a token. So strong moves are when you can gain information more easily, or you can tap into your power. And a neutral move is something that you can always do. You don't need to spend a token for it. Someone, Jay Dragon, calls these like the video game idol animation moves, and I'm really into that idea. So the idea is like you can always do these things when you're not sure what you want to do. Basically, it's a good thing to lean into these. And you also have your weak moves. So weak moves is how you earn tokens. You kind of place yourself in a vulnerable or difficult situation through these moves. And you'll notice that some of these moves are questions. So you get to ask me, or you can ask one of your fellow players the question, and then they'll answer it for you. So for example, everybody has the weak question of how does my magic flicker and fade, right? Because we've established that the magic is waning after generations of the corp drawing upon it. So it's not as stable as it could be, right? So, and then everybody else has like a specific question. So the saint has, how do I anger the little gods? The Aswang has, what horrors await me? So on and so forth. Oh, I realized I forgot to like shift some of the questions. They should be in the same order. But anyway, this is still a work in progress. I'll do that in secret in a bit. And aside from that, I think the most important move that I want to discuss is use your elemental magic. So you'll notice there are 2 versions, one in your strong move and one in your weak move. So for example, our Dewata has use your elemental magic with uncanny precision. But as a weak move, it's use your elemental magic to great consequence, right? So you can always use your elemental magic, and that's at the top of your playbook. So you have two different forms of elemental magic, and you can always engage at any of this magic. You can always use these moves at any time. It's just that if you use them as a weak move, there'll be greater consequences, right? There'll be a higher price to pay in some cases. If you use it as a strong move, there'll be little to no price to play, little to no consequence, right? And so, yeah, I think in order to like summarize the elemental magic, uh, it's best to remember. So Arctic Balang can shapeshift into any anthropomorphic mythical version of a creature. They can also access the spirit realm if they want to gain wisdom, guidance, tool, or artifact. Our Dewata can channel the elements. So this is like full on Avatar mode, basically. Captain Planet, however you want to look at it, depending on your age. And the second move that the Dewata has is Energy Drain. So the Dewata is like quite straightforward, which I like. And then our Saint has the elemental magic of Smite the Wicked, no big deal, just using satellites that people forgot about, like, through the little gods. And but sorry, saw the chat. Is it Avatar, the Generations, Captain Planet? Are they not the same? Am I gonna start a war? I'm totally joking. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. And then the second elemental magic of the Saint is perform miracles. So this is very open-ended when you connect to the little gods and try to perform a miracle. And then Araswang has the elemental magic of hunt your prey. So you can you can keep track of your prey. You know where they are and what they fear. And you can also gift black wings, so you can turn other people, other elementals, other humans into a swang as you like. So that's a lot of fun. And then our Santomo, they have Spirit Fire and Let the Dead Speak. Spirit Fire lets you move around like a ghost. You get to walk between both planes of reality of Sulat and this world. And then the second one, Let the Dead Speak, is basically your ability to hack ghosts for their memories and gain information. No big deal. Just very straightforward hacking. Everybody hacks this way, I'm sure. Yeah. And so that's mainly the gist. This is the first session, so don't feel pressured to get the hang of all the moves. The fun of belonging outside belonging is getting used to your moves and applying them in different ways. If you're confused, well, I don't want to say confused, but if you're not sure what you want to do, just let me know what it is, and then I can help you figure out if it translates into a move or not, right? So fairly straightforward. I'm here to help contextualize any of that. And then so towards the bottom of your character sheet, you have play to find out and tips. So play to find out, because belonging outside belonging, like most, because it has some DNA in Powered by the Apocalypse, this is a game where you just get to explore your character. It's best if you surprise yourself and each other with where your character decides to go and what they decide to do. So you can you can look at the questions of play to find out to guide some of that, and then you also have some tips. So for example, the Aswang has co-create with your GM the rules of the Aswang, right? So it's up to Connie and me. What does it mean to be in a swang? Like, how many are left? What are the rest of them doing when you become in a swang? Like, what's the process like? It's always different per game, per player, which is a lot of fun of games like this. But yeah, so before we move on, what questions do you have for me about the system so far? Okay. I guess
So many, but let's play it.
Yeah, same.
good approach. But yeah, so yeah, and then with that, I think we're going to start by setting the city together. We have our haven, which we built last time. I thought it was so cool that we got all 4 leaders, which I put all of them in the NPCs tab. We can change any of the images if we don't feel like it represents the characters as we like. but basically, uh, Haven, we built that together last time. We know that it has graffiti that responds to nearby thoughts. Essentially, it's saving us from one of the threats, which is the Corp broadcasting invading our psychic privacy and seeking out our information. We also have small restaurants filled with noise and laughter because, y'all, we really miss being in small restaurants next to people. Anyway, it's okay. We'll get there one day. Okay, so, and then we also have mutated flora and fauna of bioluminescent colors, some of which is used for the food, you know. Should be totally fine. This glowing tentacle thing that came out of the flower, you know, tastes great. Just a little MSG, perfect. And then we also have another Haven threat, memory hunters who stalk the vulnerable, though we established that mostly it's those who survive this process that hang out at the Haven, and it's only very rarely that that a hunter will come in seeking out more. But yeah, so I'll go. What I'm going to do is we'll each take a turn describing very briefly like an aspect of Haven, um, and so I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to say that it starts off far from above. We break through the clouds. It's nighttime because this is cyberpunk, and you know it's always night. We break through the clouds. There are storms that are gathering around this part of the city. The rain comes down in waves, and we see the neon lights reflected on the streets. And we see people moving back and forth. Haven is full of light. It's full of sound. It's crammed. You can really see how much of Haven is just hastily put together with what people have scavenged, but there is still a sense of safety here. You can tell that this community, people know each other at least by face, right? And care about each other genuinely. So I feel like in the backdrop of all of this, what is our broody, a swang? Like, what do we see of Haven and Grist?
I think the graffiti in an alleyway that's like glowing. Like they were originally just like random like words and whatnot. They all as a shadow falls over the alleyway, the graffiti just turns to die, 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 die. As sort of like backlit from like a nearby street lamp, we see Grist hunting down her prey. She is big and muscular, probably 6'5", and she is not afraid to show it. She's got this like the sides of her head are shaved, and she's got like this long hair that flows down in an uncaring mane. Right now, she is in sort of like leathered, like glowing, like cyberpunky, you know, like outfit. But it's like fashionably ripped, you know. Like you're like, who did she kill to like get this like super expensive designer fit? And she's got these like sunglasses on, even though it's night, because that's how emo she is. But as she like blocks the only exit out, you know, hunting down her prey, she lowers the sunglasses, and you see that both of her eyes, the pupils are inverted crosses. And she just grins, and you see sharpened teeth. And she looks at the person she's hunting, that she's tracked down in this alleyway, and she smiles in a predatory way.
Very cool, very cool. Do we want to cut to like there's just a moment where we see the blood across the graffiti, right? But it's like we don't exactly. Do you think that this is a moment where Grist resorts to violence and pain is your tool, or are you giving into your bloodlust and losing yourself in this moment?
Oh my lord! You know what? Let's start off with a weak move. I'm gonna give into my bloodlust and lose myself. This was supposed to be a small time hit, but I can't help it. I can't help myself. I think my beautiful designer clothes rip, as do layers of skin, as with like bony protrusions just burst out of my arms. There's like a shriek that just turns into a gross squicking noise as I just rip this person into shreds. Oh.
I'm sorry, GM moment. It's happening in my brain. Does the graffiti change into a prolonged stream and then flicker back to normal?
It does. It turns into a horrible, like agonizing, like on the walls.
Good.
Then nothing.
Okay. I'm done. I'm good. Thank you.
No, no, everybody can feel free to interject and ask questions at any time. That's super, super great. Oh, yeah, so you gain a token,
Yes.
for doing that. It's very easy. You just had to destroy someone's soul. Totally, totally fine. So I think we also see, let me know how you feel about this for Grist, that they were actually stalking one of those memory hunters, and that's who
Mm.
they were taking out. Does that feel like it makes sense for the character?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Uh, and I think by the end of it, they're more flesh and puddle and bone and grist than they are person. And they're just like shredded and splattered. And when I'm done, I'm like, I like wipe my hand, and I just sort of go, it's been a while since I've broken a sweat. Ugh. Ramen sounds good. And I like turn and I start to and I leave this poor motherfucker splayed on the ground.
Perfect, perfect. And as you leave, we see like reflected in their blood and in their vein the flickers of memories that you weren't able to salvage because you like completely tore into them. So
Oh
we
yeah.
see different faces. And one of those faces that we see is a different Grist from a long time ago, um, in the arms of someone else, but we'll see
Could a
what that could
transition be
possibly.
like my boot falling on like a wet puddle and like dissipating that memory? Is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
like
yeah. 100%, 100%. Good
okay?
stuff, good stuff. All right. I guess his face is
Starting with murder.
and sadness. Okay, perfect. Just a dash of sadness. All right. And so with that, I think it'll be a good time to we cut to our Tikbalang Ismeria. What does this part of Haven look like and what are you up to?
You're gonna make me follow that. God.
I love you, Leandro.
Um, yeah, I think yeah, so it's nighttime. But of course, because we're in the city, there's like a heck and lot of light pollution. So you can't see the stars. There's no if there's a moon there, someone's beaming up a holographic like representation of the moon. God, that actually sounds horrifying. Um um and the only thing that things are like flying that people see these days are like drones, because all the animals have died out. Um, so it'd be kind of conspicuous for her to see an animal flying. But if you squint, you do see like you know, a um tiny like bat kind of like flapping. It's hard to like tell in the gloom until like one of these like circular kind of like drones. I'm imagining like it's like a big circle and like three smaller circles are kind of floating around. I just realized I just described a hidden Mickey. Um, it kind of spots the bat, and the bat almost has to like dive to like um, um, to lose the drone. And I think like when the camera like tries to find the bat again, they don't see it, and the drones are trying to find it. But now flying away in the corner, it's not a bat anymore. It's like a little like starling is now kind of like flying through, just trying to get back to Haven. I think there's like a window that like is always kind of like open towards like the garden, because part of Ismeria's like goal is to reunite with a long lost family that they're trying to find in the city, a long lost family member, and this is them just coming back, um, and trying to make it back to the open window, back into Haven, where um I guess if the graffiti isn't covering up, you can see like there's like a weird mutated vine poking out of the window, kind of like this weird let's make it purple, sure, why not? It's big purple vine. um Normally they'll be like, ooh, you see that, that would give away the Haven, but thankfully we've got all that nice graffiti, which earlier I guess was just screaming. But now it's going back to our happy thoughts. Um, yeah. Um, I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't know if there's any avenue to to any weak moves. Well, no, 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 no. Let's see. I'll ask a question to our lovely GM. Because of all these like drones, and because Ysmeria has to like keep changing form. First they were a bat, and then they were a starling, and then they have to turn to a flying squirrel at some point. All sorts of different tiny flying things. I want to ask, how does the spirit realm break through? I don't want to endanger
Yeah.
the haven just yet, but this is right outside.
Yeah. And don't worry, like for the first at least part of the session, the weak moves won't be that intense in consequence, right? As we get used to um, drawing these things. So, uh, you asked me, how does the spirit realm break through? I think in this moment we see like the drone that loses track of you. Uh, Goes up back towards the sky, breaks through the cloud cover, and we can see like there's several other drones that are waiting there that are trying to, because the corp is like searching for any sign of the elementals. I'm going to say like it's also hard for them to get a bead on Haven because of the work that the community is doing to protect it. But from up here, there's a moment where you can tell that the drone is sharing the information it found, like it's sharing the image of the bat across all the other drones. Like everybody, you see these little hollow screens that pop up. But then one of them, the screen starts to crackle a little bit as we see that the drone starts to take on a strange black like shape and it becomes bat like as the spirit realm breaks through, finding a weakness in one of these drones. And the drone falls away, making its way towards Haven, leaving the others behind.
Hmm. If I had
Just
noticed
a cute
that,
little bat drone,
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
get your
I'm
token for
sure.
that. No worries.
Yeah, get a token for that. Yeah, I think. I think then the last shot is the let's see, kind of let's say a mockingbird flies through the window, and they just, I think when they morph, it's a proper like animorph style. Oh, they're just gonna elongate and turn back into another form. It's quite instantaneous. Um,
But
but
if
they
we slow
do,
it down, it's Animorph, right? If someone goes
yeah,
back frame by frame.
yeah. Like you can make a cover of this animation. Um, but yeah, but because they were in a hurry, they kind of like land in a heap in this garden. Um, and I do think they look kind of weird because they have normal human proportions, and they they're sadly they're not as ripped as Grist. In fact, they favor like big
Who is?
coats because they're a bit slight. But I think the weird thing is, again, their head is all different images, and I think it almost like conical. It's like a lot of different shapes, so it just kind of looks like a normal human face with like a big conical like cone of light where all these like animal shapes are like coming from, and they just kind of like stand up. Hope no one saw that. First, turn off, um, and try to look cool. But it's fine. It's fine.
Perfect. All right. And what do we see of Xander, our saint? Right. What does your part of Haven look like, and what is Xander up to?
So I think Xander, unlike what we've seen of Grist and Ismaria, like looks for all intents and purposes like a normal person. Um, is wearing, perhaps clothes a little bit too nice for, I think living in what is essentially like a dilapidated a dilapidated building that sort of the walls are falling apart and the ceiling is sort of caved in. It's not a church. Was probably something more like some sort of conference center or like a meeting room, but it has that same vibe, like chairs lined up, sort of facing towards a presentation area up front, a little raised dais. It's long since grown over, and it's rainy, and the puddles like form inside the building. But that's where Xander is sort of sitting on the dais, I think, kind of relaxed, and next to him, there's, I think, a tiny automaton, which is sort of like a puppet with its strings cut, sort of just slumped, sort of next to him. Um, and since we're going with the tropes today, it is both nighttime and raining, I've decided. And the water is the rain is falling into the building and sort of hitting both of these two like figures, which are still on the dais. And then as just saw the comment about getting the ninth. That explains so many things. But as the rain sort of falls, Xander's eyes sort of open, and his eyes or their eyes roll back, and what looks like digital irises or digital pupils sort of like carve themselves into their eyeballs and sort of like look out, kind of around the world. And this sort of this goes on for about like another 15 minutes, half an hour, and then Xander's eyes roll back down, and the irises sort of vanish in a burst of light, and the automaton next to him opens up its eyes again, and those same irises appear in the eye, like what would be like its irises. And Xander looks at it and simply says, "If you need to feel the rain again, you know where to find me." And the automaton sort of sort of gets up and then sort of like slowly waddles back out of the room as Xander sort of like falls back into a puddle, like arms spread, sort of lying there and looking up into the sky.
Perfect, perfect. So Xander, there's been a little god that's been following you lately from the shadows. Who is it?
I don't know. I don't know.
You can tell me what they look like, and I'll tell you what they're the little god of.
Yeah. So here's the fun part: playing to find out things. Tips to create GM's rules of divinity. So what are little gods normally, and how can we then promptly ignore that and make it our own? I think.
I think, let's see, I'll give a part. Let me know how you feel
Sure.
about it.
Okay.
I think the little gods are built up of people, what they pray for. They don't know what to pray for anymore, but there's a part of us that still prays for something. And so the little gods are made of those scraps and pieces of prayers. If people pray enough, if enough people pray for the same thing or towards the same end, that's what forms a little god.
Okay.
But what do you think?
I love that. I would like to take a little dark if you've got that one. I think, therefore, the little god that's sort of following Xander is, they look like someone who once had really nice clothes. Like Xander's clothes are impeccable, like somehow in spite of the rain, in spite of the dirt and the grime. But they look like they've had a suit that has grown a bit too short for them, or and like pants are a little bit too tight around certain areas and are little like scuffed and dirty. And since I think the little gods are, we sort of mentioned gods that don't necessarily have the same power and faith people used to pray for them before. This is the little god of better times because people have stopped praying for it.
Very nice, very nice. And so as you feel the eyes of the little god on you, we can see like bits of their hair sticking to their skin. And as they come closer, they just whisper things like warm food, warm beds, closeness, family. I once, maybe. And you can tell, like, as they're looking at you, there's a part of them that's scanning you, that's trying to pull on something from you. Not family, but something, maybe. Hello, Xander.
Hello.
I came
Looking
again
to see
today.
those things. Yeah. Sorry. No, please. After you.
I would you let me, I know you help, but I I just I don't. And as they touch towards the table, you can see how there's a moment where they have to focus. If not, their hand goes through the table,
Yeah.
right? And it's, you can tell that they use all of their energy just to create a knocking sound on the table. And they're like, Xander, can I just 5 minutes? Can I borrow your you? And you can tell that the little god is trying to ask to use your body for a time.
I can give you more than 5 minutes if you let me take you to a place I know. I think it might help.
Okay, do I have to talk to people?
No, I will set everything up, but I think you could use a nice bowl of warm food in a place with some amount of light. Yes?
food, taste, tongue, swallow, taste good, smell. Yes, I would like that, Xander. Thank you for your kindness.
Oh, I can't promise anything to the taste, but temperature should be nice. And Xander sort of like offers a hand out, like to where, like puts a hand over where like their hand was knocking on the table, like lifts it up, turns it, and says, "Shall we?"
And I think the scene fades before we see how a little god takes your body. But we'll
Good.
save that for next time.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I think I wanna leave Mary for last. So what do we see of Chrisin, our Dewada? What does this part of Haven look like, and what are you up to?
Uh, the camera is panning down across multiple abandoned buildings that have neon signs on them. They used to be lit, but now they're overgrown with the bioluminescent flora, and that's making them light up. And you see Christian roaming the streets. They don't really need to sleep or eat, so they just roam the streets at night, like making sure like everyone else is comfortable, like helping wherever they can. So like uh, a montage of scenes where they're maybe helping a restaurant that's out of power, so they're making fire for them to continue cooking food, or someone is uncomfortably hot, so they're making a breeze, so they're comfortable, and you know, and then always in the night they they meet they go to the tree the forest at that's the sort of surrounding haven, um, where they meet with the last guardian of the forest.
Cool. Yeah, I like this. So what does our last guardian look like?
They appear in the form of a forest turtle. This is a regular ordinary size, nothing special.
And so as you come close, you can see that the last guardian of the forest has been waiting for you. How do they communicate with you? Because it's not quite words, it's not quite speech,
Yeah,
but
so this was more mental images and and emotions.
and so as you come, you get images in your mind of a pond that's quiet, a single pebble going through, and then it cuts to the sensation of the wind against the skin, and it feels like such a distant memory. How long has Kristen been alive for? Do you remember a time before the corp, or are you relatively young?
Uh, I think they've been around, but the memories of before the corp uh, have, uh, have have been fading. They don't remember. They don't really remember a whole lot, because it's something that something during the time the corp mess with their memory.
Ooh, do you want this to be a moment where your magic flickers and fades as we see the memory that almost comes together before it disappears? Or
Yeah, sure.
so we see a moment where Kristen and we realize that it's the guardian remembering this moment, trying to help you see it. So there's a moment where we see Kristen split into their true elemental form across four distinct beings, and across from you is another one just like you, and they're also split into four beings, and so there are eight pairs of hands reaching out towards each other, and the other Dewata says, no matter what, we'll make your sacrifice worth it. I promise. I'll find my way back. And then the memory starts to fade. So take a token for that, please.
Okay.
And as the memory fades, there's these images from the Guardian of a cave and emptiness and darkness as the Guardian feels the loss but cannot communicate it with you. And so I think we cut to, now that we're on the sad train, I think it's perfect that we go to the Santomo station of sadness. So, so what does your part of Haven look like, and what are you up to, Mary?
Okay. So we started this whole um all of these vignettes with an an act of violence, and this when we cut to the Santomo, it is also an act of violence. There is first the sensation of pain, um, and of despair, knowing that you can't stop the pain. It hurts, and it's a grinding sensation against the soul. Everything is red and staticky, because there's the pain is also from a disconnection, and then suddenly, um, the screen clears, and it's it's um, the face of a young woman, with and her expression is blank. She gets up, um, out of the tub, and um, gets dressed, and then starts to clean this tiny apartment. There's a lot of trash that seems like it's been there for a long time. And she goes through it slowly, methodically, putting everything away in their rightful place. And then when she's finally done, she takes all the bags of trash, opens the door, steps outside, and when she turns to look at the glass of the window that is facing into this again tiny apartment, you see in the reflection that it is not her face, but the face of someone else. Um, I think it is like an old man who looks very grizzled, and then she turns back and starts walking out to throw away the trash. And then you go back into the apartment, and you see in the tub, um, actually from where she stood up, there lies the body of the old man. And you can tell that he's further into a state of decomposition because he's been dead for a while. He also died by a pretty violent death. So I think there's the whole washroom is buzzing with flies.
That was the static sound earlier.
Yes.
Also, like it was melding into it.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So my question for you, Mary, is this allowing his spirit to take over your body for a time, or are you allowing Sula to claim something forbidden?
This is letting a spirit claim my body for a time. And this was the last wish of what this specific spirit wanted to do.
And you can hear, when you allow a spirit to take over your body, you can sort of feel their consciousness brushing up against yours. And there's a moment where there's sort of a melding where their memory becomes your memory, where their desire becomes your desire for a moment. And you hear his voice come through, and he says, if I don't think she'll come, but my daughter, if you see her, don't let her know what happened to me.
And physically, Mary will nod. But she'll
And
continue.
then
She's in this like fugue state as she like walks and like throws away trash in a very like it's like her body. Well, her body is being used by someone not quite used to it, and so all of it is a bit just looks a bit off and a little jerky.
like a little too strong as the garbage goes a little too far,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. Very good, very good. Yeah, and I think in the distance, that's when we see the camera start to focus on the ramen shop that's nearby, and then you can sense like, my stomach wouldn't let me have something like ramen for a long time, but your stomach should be able to handle it, right?
Yeah. And I'll turn and start slowly heading towards the ramen shop. And as I walk, I want to say that um, there's flickering on maybe just on the walls, like the kind of like core. It's not an advertisement; it's a news segment, and the news segment is this like series of murders um, within the city. Is it or and it has to do with who's this ghost killer? No one can catch them. Catch the rest of the news at 8 p.m. Dun, 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 dun. And as as Mary continues walking by, and it flickers, the light from that segment just like flickers on the side of her face.
Perfect, perfect. I love that so much. All right, and so I think this is a good time for at least some of us. I realize what the Santomo and Saint are showing up with other people in their body, in the ramen shop. As you do, normal. So we at least have the Santomo and Saint and Aswang like here at the ramen shop. But do we think we're going to be joined by the Tikbalang and the Duwata?
Possibly. I don't know why I'm being hesitant. Why wouldn't they go to the ramen shop? Yeah, I think after a night of darting about in different animal forms, Ismiria would like to hang out with um, people um, for the moment. Um, they probably like take their time because they have to get used to like um, opposable thumbs again.
True, true. There's a part of you that's like, shouldn't it like fleck towards the other
Yeah.
direction? Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say, Mary, you get a token for allowing to be taken to the ramen shop to let the spirit guide what's gonna happen next. How about our Dewata? Are you going to be here at the ramen shop, or are you up to something else?
Uh, I'll probably pass by and then seeing Ythmiria, uh, so stop in and say hi since they know they know them.
Perfect, perfect. So let's up our ramen shop. Um, and so this is one of those. It's a stall that has like three ends. It's really cramped together. There are crack bowls that don't quite match up entirely. That are like piled up high. And so I want to ask. Yeah, I want to ask Grist, who is our ramen shop owner?
Oh, that's such a fun question. I think she used to work at the Sensorium as like a lover for hire. But she's like, I have a passion for food. She like took the money, like the creds she saved up to like open up to take this ramen shop, which is maybe I think built out of the bones of like a dead animal, like coming out of a like coming out of like a little like shanty area.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So good. Like it's one of those animals that grew too big because of the mutations,
Yes,
and it couldn't
exactly.
quite sustain itself. So
Yep.
it just decided to die in that spot.
Yep.
And people scavenged, cleaned it out, and now it's a ramen shop, which Makes perfect sense. So there are all these like lights and little things that are like hung from the different bones. As you move through it, the bones tend to like crack and make sounds under the rain. And so, oh, do we have a name for our ramen shop owner? Our lady who used to work at the sensorium.
First name coming to mind is Rose.
Oh yeah,
For
I
some
like that.
reason.
No, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. So Rose is there. She's incredibly tall. You can tell that she had augments done to like really come across. She's almost 7 feet tall, right? Oh my gosh, did I accidentally go into like Resident Evil black tall lady vibes? Anyway, so she's a
Accidentally?
Mm-hmm.
so I think she's closer to 8 feet though. Someone did the math. Anyway, so Rose here is 7 feet. And she is wearing like layers and layers of clothing. Some of it is like holographic and it tends to change. You can tell that whoever is looking at her, the clothing will change a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's from her time at the sensorium. She's a little attached to this old thing and she can't quite get rid of it, but she has very comfortable, practical shoes on because fuck if she's ever going to wear heels again for the rest of her life. And so she sees you coming and she looks at you, Grist, and she says, "The usual, darling."
Ah, yes, those three-headed rats always add such a wonderful umami flavor to the broth. I say as I slide into the booth.
And she goes, "Of course." And then she reaches out behind her. And you know how like usually they have like Peking duck, like that's hanging off it. Except this time it's like different things, like mutated creatures. She takes out one of those three-headed rats, takes it, and it makes this is like a Jim Henson moment where it makes a squeaking sound. We won't get into detail. It happens off screen, you know?
Yeah.
And then like, you just hear the chop, and then she starts putting together the ramen really quickly. Like she has all this stuff behind her, where she puts the ingredients together really quickly. And at that point, I think she sees Mary. And so, Mary, how is it that you can tell that even though Rose is very friendly to you and she's really nice to you, how is it that you can tell that she's a little scared of you?
I think the way that she talks to me is much more customer servicey. So she's not talking to me like a person. She had her. I think the pitch of her voice goes a little bit higher, and she has that specific smile for like
it just comes on.
Yeah.
It plasters on. And she looks at you, and even though you've come here lots of times, she still asks you what you want to order. She still pushes the menu towards you. It's like this radio thing that's like, she doesn't give the menu to anyone else, right? Because everyone else in Haven knows what's on the menu, but she hands it towards you anyway. What are you gonna order, Mary?
I order, I think the fanciest thing on the menu, which is or it's not what I usually order actually. It's obviously what the spirit wants. I think so. It's like their special, which comes with like a some kind of a bioluminescent like green bean thing that is basically an amame except it's glowing and then like the ramen, and then also a side of like I mean gyoza. So like yeah, like dumplings that's like fried. So
excellent. Yeah. And then from one of the gyoza you can see like a little tentacle coming out, and then Rose says, "Oh, one moment," and she pulls it back and then brings it back to make sure it's completely and then she has that same false smile, only the freshest for our customer. Once again being very polite, but not quite. The smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. And
Can I do I see Mary enter?
Oh yeah. So this is a very cramped space.
Okay.
No.
I'm
I'm just so nostalgic for like cramped spaces.
I miss it.
But yeah, so Mary comes up next to you.
I think upon seeing and hearing your entrance, without looking back, Grist just sort of goes, "Mary, darling, I love you, but you smell like old people and garbage."
And there's like there's like a pause, and then Mary turns around, and her face was very blank, but then it actually looks offended. Well then, youngster, why don't you try being dead for 2 weeks with no one to clean you up?
At that, Grist turns and faces the ghost inside. Is the ghost still inside you, Mary?
Oh, heckin' yeah. He's waiting for his
Yeah.
his
Oh yeah.
food.
right. For his food. Grist just goes, Christ, one of your charity cases. What is it now? What does he want? A woman's touch?
What?
Sorry, Rose doesn't work at the sensorium anymore.
Rude. What I want is a good meal.
And Grist like moves her shit off of a stool, puts it on another stool to like make room for her, Mary.
Yeah. Mary is already starting to eat that bioluminescent edamame. And it does the thing where she like sticks it all in her mouth and then like eats it and then spits out the
Oh, so nasty. Grist looks at it with like thinly veiled disdain and just says, that bleeding heart is gonna put you into hemorrhagic shock one day.
And there's like a little bit of a like adjustment to Mary's face from like ha, I'm here to enjoy my food, to like a he was hungry.
Uh-huh. They always ask to eat, don't they? Food first, drink next. They're gonna take your soul one day, dear. All right, old man, use those chompers as long as you got him.
There's like a bit of a twitch, and then Mary continues like throwing those beans in her mouth and spitting. Nice. Like really loudly too. Like
classic.
I think we follow one of those like things that come out, and then that's when we see Zander walk in from the shot. What do we see as Zander?
I mean, pretty much also the same thing again. Like before, his eyes are rolled back and the irises are different, and almost like, I think this time because it's a little bit more of an organic one that sort of showed up. I think like it's like rather than like a digital sort of map over with the other little god, because that one was sort of in an automaton body. This one is like that creepy anime thing where like the pupils like splits and like does like the cell mitosis thing, and there's two pupils in the eye. And one of them is like Zander's, and that's the one that's a little bit further back, and the other one is a different color. Probably kind of like an electric green almost, I'll say. And Zander walks in, and I guess, and is basically in the back seat right now, to the little god of better times.
Wonderful. And you hear a voice right next to your mind going like, can we friends, not almost something, friends now, stronger enemies waiting, but friends now. Do we sit next to friends?
Want to sit next to friends?
Yes, but you talk. I'll stay, but you talk.
I think you sort of see like like there's like a sort of wiggle in the eyes, they sort of swap with like the green eyes pushing back and Xander's eyes sort of pushing forward. And he sort of walks up and then says, something light and warm, if you could, please. I'm not really in the mood for food, but I'm doing someone a favor.
And then Rose nods. Xander, what is it about Rose that makes you suspect she knows about elementals, even if she doesn't say anything?
Rose So Alexander's not trying to hide the eyes. I think this is something that he's figured out before, like a little while ago, and like has a pair of like I think shaded glasses that he'll put on, like old, like very old, like like not like cool like Deus Ex Adam Jensen glasses, like they're old Ray-Bans. Like that's where we're at. Some like and the plastic is faded and sort of chipped, and maybe like one of the lenses is cracked. And he does absolutely sort of put those on when he's interacting with people who don't know, but I think Rose has caught him with it off at one point and didn't make a noise, didn't say anything, didn't react at all, and so I think he knows that Rose knows. And just, there's a very silent, unspoken agreement that neither of them is going to question the other on why one of them has two pupils and why one of them did absolutely nothing when a person with two pupils walked into the store.
Absolutely. And so Rose just nods at you and says, "Of course, dear." And she starts putting together something light for you. But you notice that she also starts putting aside like a take-home bag for you. And she goes, for later when you have an appetite, dear. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Zander. And Grist looks at you, sees the double pupils,
Yeah.
just goes, "If I wanted to go somewhere where people being inside other people was the main attraction, I just strap myself down and go to a fucking orgy."
I mean, I'm not stopping you. You're more than welcome to do that. I don't like. Were you expecting a judgment on that, or were you just? I don't really.
No, I'm just bitching. And Grist
Fair
goes
enough.
back to ramen.
And Xander's like, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then says, "Can I get you like a drink to go with like the salt, or would you prefer just the ramen?"
Let's have if you're paying, Rose, let's have some of that top shelf bourbon.
And then that's when she raises an eyebrow. She already starts to take out the bourbon, but she says, usually, all right. And you can tell that what she wanted to say was like, usually this is only for when you ask for a special occasion sort of deal. But she nods and she smiles and she says, "Well, you know what? We have to create our moments of happiness and celebration when we can, right?" She says, and she starts pouring. "Don't worry, this is on your tab," which is translation for "you don't have to pay for the bourbon."
Yeah.
Mary slaps the table and says, "Yeah, give me one glass of that as well."
Old man yells at barkeep.
Yeah.
And Rose looks a little like the customer service smile comes back on again, and she doesn't say anything, pours you a generous amount. And so I think Ismaria, you can hear the laughter and the sounds coming from the ramen shop. I think you and Christin both see each other at the same time as you move towards the ramen
So
shop.
actually, can I change something
Sure.
to be more deliberate? So Kristen delivers wood to Rose every couple of days because Rose is very particular about only using wood fire to cook her ramen. So yeah, so
Very
they're
nice.
regularly seen in the shop every couple of days.
And I think when Rose sees you, Kristen, you can see her face light up. She's like, "Oh, good. I was just about to run out. Come on, sweetie. Why don't I put something together for you?" And so, as what does Rose put together for you, Kristen? That in exchange for your help.
That's a good question. They don't, they don't really want anything in return, but just
And so you see so as usual, Rose overdoes it. She starts like creating this really humongous ramen bowl. Because of course you say since you don't expect anything in return, that makes her like put in as much as possible into it. But I'm going to ask. So, Ismeria, as you come close and you see the ramen shop just right there, that's when you hear like the staticky sound that pierces through your mind, and you hear a voice that says, "Shape, your shape, I, yes." And when you look behind you, you see the drone is like extending itself, and like there's flesh that's coming out of the metal and it's starting to move and it's trying to copy the different faces you have. I more information. I And they reach out towards you, and I think that's when we're going to take our break. So if
It's
everyone's
like
cool with that.
God.
All right, everybody. So everybody's watching. We'll be back in how many minutes? But yeah, I hope everybody had a chance to stretch and take a break with us. I'm happy to have everyone back. So before we get into what's going on with Ismeria and this drone from the corp that's infected by a part of the spirit realm. No big deal. I also just want to remind everyone that we are using our safety tools. We're using lines and veils, script change, and an open door policy. So I'm taking a look at our lines and veils. I realize I kind of like went over one of our lines with the three-headed rat. Should we script change any part of that, or is um, like how do we feel about it? Because technically it's a harm to a poor three-headed animal. Or is it okay if it happens like if it's in this context of cooking and off screen? Is that okay?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, okay. But I'll definitely be more careful. Like I assume that that particular line is like, if it's a jerk, like who's purposely hurting a sentient creature. But okay. So but yeah, thank you so much. And so now we're going to jump right back in. So Ismeria, you can see that this drone is trying desperately to connect to you and to they say that they're looking for information, but you can sense how it's trying to draw in your magic, right? And so you
Yeah.
can tell like it's a combination of the corpse protocols and the corpse uh, thing, but there's also like a part of the spirit realm that's struggling to get through, that's being corrupted. Because while you know that the spirit realm is there mainly to help and to provide information, it's been corrupted over the years. Its digital remains are not quite what they used to be, and there are parts of the spirit realm that are incredibly dangerous, and it's one of those parts that's like come through. And so we see like the metal, the flesh, there's part of a bat wing, there's these huge, overly huge, they're like part drone eyes, part bat eyes, but it's reaching out towards you. And as it gets close to you, you can sense it starts pulling parts of your holographic animal faces. It starts to try to take them on. So we can see like it's parts of its body becoming scaly, parts of it turning into patchy fur. What do you do, Ismeria?
Yeah. Oh, I want to add a small detail as to why Ismeria hadn't entered the shop because they were kind of made their way there. So I heard laughter, but then they saw Grist was there, and they're like, "Oh wait, hold on, maybe I'm not that hungry." Um, so I'm just so
Oh no.
Ismeria has just been standing outside the shop, so you can see this weird patchwork collection of animal faces being all. I have some croutons back at the garden. We can just eat there. Hey, Christin. Hi.
As Kristen
Wait,
passes by with the wood.
yeah. They're like, that'll be fine. Grist is grist, and then yeah, then the bat drone stuff. This is all very crucial. Clearly, yeah. Not a fan. As a character, I'm not a fan of this. As a player, I'm a big fan. Yeah, I think like Ismeria like panics a bit. Adita was going to introduce, like, after like they spend a prolonged time in animal form, they do take a while to remember how to talk. um, so they're just kind of like almost kind of like murmuring to themselves, like, no, 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 you're not. Oh, you're not. This is not. No, no. Um, I think they are. I know I have a token, but I want to accumulate more tokens, so this might be another weak move. Um, I
Yeah.
think I'm going to use my elemental magic to great consequence. Um, and I think,
Yeah. I assume you're shapeshifting.
yes, I'm going to turn into a horse and try to stamp at this drone thing. It's a drone. It's a machine. It's fine. It's a conduit to the spirit realm at the moment, but I'm panicking. So if anyone in the ramen shop, they will notice suddenly there's a big horse. Um, well, we'll see how
Yeah.
it goes.
What does it look like when you activate your elemental magic? Like, how do you take on the anthropomorphic and mythic version of this horse?
Yeah, I think like there's a moment where like Ismeria freezes and the different shape-shifting animal faces freezes, and then they slowly turn to different parts of the horse's face, and then they have to rearrange themselves to look like the horse, and that effect cascades down to Ismeria's body until until it, like, digitizes, much like a, yeah, I was gonna say, like, much like a Digimon effect. Okay, cool. That's my frame of reference. And
Animorphs,
as
Digimon, Captain Planet. Okay, got it.
Are we dating ourselves here? Is that the plan? Everybody
That's
remember
ki-
Sailor Moon on Toonami?
Yikes.
look, we just so
In the ramen shop, do we see slash hear the horse?
Oh yeah, yeah. The horse.
Okay.
Suddenly there's a horse stampede outside. What?
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
I'm gonna say like all of you sense the magic. Like it's cascading off of Ismeria. I think that's part of using the magic with the consequence is that it's very, very loud. And you can see it's like all the neon lights start to dim for a moment, and then one by one they start to crack and pop as they're overwhelmed, and then the graffiti all over in the nearby walls are just streaming over and over again. Magic will be free. Magic will bring us to oblivion. Magic will take what you no longer need.
Mm. As a shard of a light bulb falls into Grist's ramen, I think she's like still trying to eat, and she picks it up, and it cuts into her mouth, and she just drops it, and blood comes out, and she just goes, "I fucking hate this city." And then she scoots her stool back, turns around, and prepares for violence.
Very, very good. And Rose just very matter of factly takes a bowl of ramen, starts to make you a new one. Like everyone else, I have to point out, everyone else in the area is freaking out. Like the other vendors and stuff, like they're moving. Rose is just very calmly like making sure to put your food aside so it'll still be here when you come back. Like she's very unruffled by the whole experience. And she, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, Grist is just gonna say, "Put it on my tab, Rose. I'll pluck this thorn for you."
Oh, darling, you're such a sweetheart. Don't worry, it'll be warm when you come back. And she turns towards Zander. Now, the two of you, be careful, she says, pointedly only talking to supposedly just Zander.
Oh, poor Mary.
Yeah, like, just.
I mean,
But yeah, so.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask. So, what happens when Grist like prepares for violence? Like, I assume the magic starts to radiate. You see, Ismeria's like smashing this drone, and it looks like it's it's doing well. Like the hoof is coming down, and the whole ground shakes a little bit from the mythic might of the Tikbalang. But the drone is like it's acting like liquid, like it's pushing back and forth. It's like it's trying to make sure that it's absorbing the energy and the violence instead, right? So you can tell that something this is not normal. This is not a normal corp drone. There's something going on. There's something very wrong. But yeah, so what do you do, Chris?
Okay, yeah. Without waiting for Mary or Xander to follow, Grist just like rolling one shoulder, popping her neck, strides out of the ramen shop. Takes one look at this horse stomping this drone with its hoof, but it seems to be made of like liquid. So she is going to, let's see. Does destroy, is this drone irreplaceable, would you say? Or is it
Oh
not?
yeah, I would say that would work if you destroy something that belongs to you as well in the doing,
Oh god, okay.
or
This
someone
is
else.
ooh, I kind of want to hurt. I kind of want to fuck up someone else's day. Yasmiria, what is irreplaceable to you?
Oh man. Um can it be this horse form, because all my forms are irreplaceable?
Oh
Um
shit. Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Yeah, so Grist, there's like a snap of bone and a mist of marrow in the air as these two like bone spurs just like come out of Grist's like arms like swords. And she like slashes one arm like to the side to like dismantle this drone. At the same time though, I think she's been kind of careless. So that one slash also I think goes across, like cuts across Yasmiria.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think like what this looks like is like, it's like when you slash I'm imagining like it's like throwing a blanket off of someone. Like
Mm.
the horse form is like shredded and kind of like, goes into like, million different like binary pieces, because, and Grist can do that with one slash because Grist can do that. Yeah, and Ismiria will kind of like just fall on their ass on the ground. Maybe the hands are like a bit sticky with the weird drone stuff. They're back to their form, and they're it's happened so quickly that they don't really realize it. I'm assuming the drone is like down for the count. Um,
Even as the drone falls to the ground and Yasmiria, you're flung back, Grist takes like another step forward with a heavy, like ironclad boot, and the spur turns into a whip with segmented joints like a spine. And she whips it down and just starts like thrashing the corpse of this drone, like over and over and over.
I think Ismir doesn't realize that they'll realize later that the horse form is like destroyed. They just kind of like stand up and kind of like very hesitantly like say, I had that. I, it was under control.
In that moment, Grist like lifts the arm that goes back into like her ruptured, skin, and then like almost like pixelated, it starts to like knit itself back together. And she turns her eyes, her inverted crosses for pupils, upon you, Yasmiria. And she is just gonna give you a look of such just almost, you see like it's like a mix of like contempt and like there's still like bloodlust remaining in her face. Like she wasn't satisfied with just destroying this throne. And she goes, "Did you now? Well, if you've got a little bit more fight in you, I could go for round 2."
I don't know if you'd want that, Grist. You still have some ramen to eat.
You're right. I wouldn't sully Rose's grounds with such violence. Not yet, anyway. Xander, old man inside my little sister. How are things going back there?
Well, okay. Mary has as soon as like this horse sound happens, like or they're like this Winnie? Ninny? I don't know what's the
Nay?
Nay. There we
Nay,
go.
nay.
That's the other
Winnie
word
was
that
also
starts with
correct.
an N.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Winnie Ninny Nay.
Mary scoops up the bowl of ramen and like kind of like ducks beneath the table and then continues eating there. So and that there's all this like violence and like blood that's happening outside, and Mary is just frantically eating. So when Grist asks the question, she'll look up and kind of like peek around the table and says, "It's good in here. Carry on."
Very cool. And so in the chat, we pointed out a thing about animal death with the thick violent horse form. Do we want to instead like clarify that it's destroying the connection to it, and so the form still exists somewhere? It's just that Ismera can no longer connect to it. Is everyone okay with that? Very good. And so I think when that happens, before we cut to Zander and their reaction, I think we see across the graffiti that horse form running like throughout the city. It's now free and loose out there, no longer tied to Ismeria, before they disappear into the last bit of graffiti that says freedom.
This graffiti is a better character than anything we've come up with.
Yeah, right?
Oh, it's so good. I think Zander like watches Mary dive under the table with a bowl of ramen, and then like looks like they're about to maybe do the same thing. And then I think there's insert sounds of incomprehensible violence from outside, and then silence because Grist has solved the problem. And Zander turns back and says, Zander sort of just like looks like turns to call back, opens their mouth. Mary goes, "Everything's fine," closes their mouth, turns back around and goes, "And how's your day been?" And continues eating the ramen as if nothing has happened, because clearly they don't have to do anything anymore.
Is Christin in the ramen shop, right?
Yeah. I mean, stepping out and seeing the situations under control, Christian would just ask if, "Are you okay?" To Yasmia.
Everything's okay. Grist took care of it, but your blood is up. It's still up, isn't it? To Grist.
Out of character, Claire. What are you getting at?
Yeah, I think like Ismail's like just basically asking like you still want to fight?
Oh, sure.
They're saying in the most awkward way possible.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think Grist is like rubbing that part of her arm that was ruptured to form the weapon a little bit. And maybe like you see like a little bit of like scabbing, like it's not healing the way it should be, you know. But she like very quickly like, and like the mesh of her like leather like suit like goes over it to hide it. And she looks at you, because like magic is leaving, right, and growing frail. So she looks at you, Yasmiria, and just says, "Looking at your frankly kind of pitiful form, I've lost my appetite." And then looks over at you, Christin, and there's like a pause as like there, you know, she just sort of looks at you and says, "Christin," and goes back into the ramen shop, squats down for Mary. If Mary's still under the table.
Yeah, Mary is. Mary's not probably not going to leave from under the table for a bit. It's comfy. And Mary is like squatted as well, like beneath the table, and then just like balancing the bowl on I think her knees and eating.
Mm-hmm. You okay, kiddo?
What I've seen in my time, you wouldn't even know.
Can I speak to my sister for like 2 seconds, please?
All right. And there's like a bit of that twitch again. Grist, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. You should see the other guy. The threat's gone. It's okay.
Did you hurt your hands?
No. What? No. Like I said, you should see the other guy.
And I'll reach out and I think just take like the sleeve of your edgy jacket.
Yeah, super edgy.
Yeah, and just like take a bit of it. It's scary when you get hurt, Grist.
Chris doesn't really know what to say to that. She just sort of goes, well, there isn't really another option. Mary. When all the protectors of this haven, if you can call it that, have been brought low like this, you have to take some risks. Draw a little blood. Keep this place safe.
But what is going to keep you safe?
Definitely not you. I don't like that look in your eye. And Grist like reaches over with her other hand and like ruffles the top of Mary's head.
Yeah, and it just looks like a bird's nest.
I think you technically hit the lore of this song. Because one of the lore of this song is when someone asks for my kindness or tells me why they're afraid. So why don't you take a token?
Ooh.
Good job, Mary. Right, so there are all these little ding 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 places to take tokens. We'll get used to them the more we play.
Yeah, and I'll cover my head, and then and then probably there's like another twitch, and well, you have it under control, and continue eating.
Yeah, eat your beans, old man. And Grist like scoots out from under.
Is there more like patooey edamame sounds?
I mean, yes.
It's pinging off the ceramic under the table.
Yeah, it was quiet for a bit when the fight was going on, but now that everything's under control, back to the edamames.
Great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm looking at the Haven moves. Ismaria, technically you brought someone dangerous to the Haven because of the drone, so why don't you take a token?
Yeah, I totally planned that.
Totally, absolutely. And so Ismaria, as you come close, how does Rose usually greet you when she sees you?
The thing is, I don't know if Miss Mary wants to go to the ramen shop right now.
Oh no problem.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I think they'll say because I think Christin is was outside, right?
Yeah.
I think they're just gonna say, I don't think I'm hungry right now. Tell Rose I said hi. She's all right. You're all right as well.
Yeah. Do you want me to bring you something?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna go for a run. I'm just gonna run around.
Run away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Stay safe.
Yeah. And so, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just to put a pin on this, I'm gonna use one of my neutral moves to change your form to reflect your mood. I'm gonna run around as a tiny mouse. At the moment, feeling a bit small.
I really like that. Oh, very cool. And so, so everybody, since you had a moment with Rose, except for Ismaria, you technically hit one of the Haven moves, which is intimately connect to someone from the Haven, right? So Zander, Grist, Christin, and Mary pick up another token for that. And so I think when that happens, Rose, it takes out, we see like one of the drone pieces like smash through, as you know, as Grist was tearing through it and the thick bottom was tearing through it. It smashed through the bottle of bourbon, and Rose just, oh, that's all right. And then she like sets aside the broken shards and wipes it up, and then she'll, besides, this bottle's a better one, and she takes out another like a bottle of bourbon, and she smiles. But you can tell that there's a little bit of like, there's a little worry in her eyes. In fact, I want to ask Mary, you have a very useful neutral move. Uh, find the fragments of a secret. You can tell there's something that's tugging at Rose. Do you want to see what it is?
Yeah. Um, I actually think once I finish the bowl of noodles and the platter of edamame and the gyoza, I um I let out a really loud and satisfying burp, and satisfying only for me, not for anyone else. And and it's like and the spirit actually leaves my body. So the old man, and I feel like as he's leaving, he's like, no, like I didn't want to yet, but it's like that. It's like that kind of a relationship is it has like unspoken conditions, and when the conditions are met, then it separates. Um, so
Like the magic senses, there's no more. He's gone through everything that he wants to, right?
yeah, yeah. So he leaves, and I'm slumped over beneath the table, and I think what I see maybe is like something. There's like some kind of nervous tick that Rose does that is like maybe her hands or something. So it's like, but that's exactly at my eye level right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, um, as you look towards that nervous tick, you realize that her eyes keep flickering towards the side for a moment, and then like you can see like she's looking towards a dark alleyway, like where more of the shanties are cramped together, and you can hear in her mind there's just a no, not yet. You promised me, not yet. What do you do?
I will slowly crawl out from under the table and then stand up and feel too full. Pay the tab. So I don't know how. I guess I'll just like wipe across and then the transaction happens.
Yeah, there these numbers show up. You know, it's equivalent of like when an Asian style has a calculator. They go, "Da, da, da, da," it's this much,
Yeah,
right? Except it's holographic. Like,
yeah. And then I look at Rose and I turn. Oh, who else is still here? Oh, okay, my sister's here, and so is Zander, but Xander's kind of busy.
Christian is it's like it's helping sweep up some of the drone parts.
Okay. I will go. I'll walk forward, and I think I'm going to take the sleeve of Kristen's shirt. So like, probably like, just like by your wrist. And then I'll start walking out. And then if you follow me, then obviously, that's great. But if not, then your shirt the fabric will just slip between my fingers, and I'll keep walking. And I'm walking out towards the alleyway that Rose was looking at.
and so as you walk into the alleyway, you can see that there's someone who's standing there. They're wearing a trench coat. There's a cigarette lit, and so they have these like blue eyes that just pierce through the darkness. They're unnaturally bright, even for augments, and their hair is short, coming down around their face, and it's short at the back. But you can tell, Mary, just looking at this person, they just ooze corp. It doesn't matter if they are wearing a cheaper jacket, or you can tell this is their idea of slumming it as best as they could. But you can sense. Um, in fact, I'm gonna ask. Uh, you know that um, you've seen them before because the private detective that you're bonded to has told you about this court person. What's their reputation?
Um, their reputation. Okay, so they're slick and trying to slum it, but not very well doing it very well. I think their reputation is that they they come from, they're like kind of like second gen like core brat. Is that how that works? Anyway, so they basically like have never really ventured outside of their bubble before, and they kind of like got the job in the core because of like their family or connections or something like that. So they have a lot of like, so their reputation is that they talk big, but they don't have a lot of street cred.
Right. So they have a lot of power, but they don't actually know their way around. And you can tell because the moment they see you coming from the shop, they look at you, and you can see like two more people show up behind them, dressed in a similar way. They're a bit better at slumming it though. They look like they fit in a bit better compared to this one. And she looks at you. She takes a drag of the cigarette, and she says, "So, with Rose, did she send you for the negotiation?"
I want to know if Christin came with me or not.
Oh, yeah. After a moment, after a pause, a beat,
So did
they'll
you
walk out.
did you let me lead you by that little bit of fabric on your shirt or no? That's my question.
Oh no. I would have I would have come out and follow at a distance.
Okay, sounds good. I wonder how I would react. This is the Haven. What are you doing here?
And she smiles and she says, "Look, little one, I don't have time for this. I'm a very busy woman. You tell Rose that unless she comes up with the money real soon or the information, I'll take what's mine, as we agreed upon."
And what I'm, I kind of, so I'm wearing this, what looks like a poncho actually. So like because it's always raining here, so it's very easy to, and I obviously it morphs depending on who sees it, and then I think I pull on the hood of my poncho, and to this woman, I no longer look like myself. There's like some kind of like I don't flicker. I think it's more like I blur a little. And then and it's kind of like the hazy way that you think of that when you think of something nostalgic, that's like that hazy look. And I'm gonna spend a token, one of my tokens, to what is one of the things that I can do? Yes. Access a specific memory and capture it. And so the way that it looks is to her is that I now remind her of whoever it is that that makes her feel safe. But while this is happening, I am also I'm looking at her eyes, and then I'm seeing suddenly through her eyes the memory of what the conversation that she had with Rose.
And then so she looks at you, and there's a moment of realization, and you see the magic start to rewrite over her eyes. And she says, "Oh, Astrid, I didn't recognize you for some reason." And so as that happens, you can feel your magic start to pull on to the memory, and you're instantly transported to the sensorium. So we see like soft velvets. It's quite dark here. There's like plush velvet. We see that both this person and Rose are. I mean, it's artfully done. It's not HBO, but it's like they're obviously both naked.
Right.
Not HBO level. Like it's veiled. There just happens to be a convenient curtain blocking some parts of the body. And so that's when we hear Rose say, Jade, look, you don't know what you're getting into. I know you think working with the corp is a good idea, but they're just going to use you. They're going to take what they want and then they're going to discard you. And then that's when Jade answers, is it any different from what you're doing here at the Sensorium? I'm trying to find a way out for the both of us. I'm doing something about it, unlike you. Look, it's easy. You just have to get yourself to Haven, and you just have to find out all you can about whatever the corp is looking for, and that's it. And you can see Rose is like struggling to accept it, and she's like, no, I just. And Jade says, look, do it for me, okay? You know that this is important, please. And then you see Rose nod a little bit, and then the memory distorts for a moment, and then it's suddenly the two of them almost in the same position, except now they're in a place in Haven. And Rose says, no, I don't care what we agreed on. They're good people. You just can't. And then that's when Jade says, so you have found them. I'm giving you another week. When I come back, you'll tell me who they are. And then Jade leaves behind a bottle of bourbon, the same one that shattered earlier.
So I just want to clarify. The person that was initially on the scene is someone else, and then Jade is one of the people, or that just.
Oh, yeah, good clarification. No, you're talking to the person, Jade, who is here in front of you, who does know Rose. So like it's their memory that you tapped into.
Right. So what about the other person with the reputation for not having?
Oh, yeah, that's still Jade.
That's still Jade. Okay, cool. Okay.
So we know that she got into the corp through connections and stuff like that, and she was desperate to try to gain more power and more prominence with the corp.
And when I blink, and then I'm back facing her instead of looking through her eyes, and I will walk forward and just close her eyes as she's standing in front of me, and then I'll turn and walk away.
Do you want to destroy a precious secret or memory?
Yes. I don't think she should remember this.
Do you think you want her to also not remember that Rose knows?
Yeah. I think it's that's my intention, is to erase her memory of her connection with, well, like of what she told Rose to do, but with that I have to erase her memory of the I don't know how far this goes, but like the precious memory with Rose.
Yeah. And so as you reach out and close her eyes, the memory replays, but slowly, bit by bit, layer by layer, Rose is removed over and over again until it's just Jade talking to herself.
Yeah.
Okay, so take a token for that.
Yeah. And I'll turn and push my hood back and then walk back into the night.
And we see Jade for a moment like shake her head and look at the other two. What are you two standing around here for? You have to report back. But you can tell she's visibly disturbed because she doesn't remember why she's here in her memory. You know, it takes a while once you do this to someone, their memories will knit and start to create something plausible. But for now, it's still a moment of confusion. So I think this is a good time to cut to Zander. Zander, you can sense that the little god of better times is like what had pointedly ignored the violence from earlier and is in your head going like, talking, you're good at talking. Bourbon, better times. Cheers, good memories, togetherness. Can we have that?
I think that depends on the proprietor. And Xander will like turn to look at Rose and say, and with that kind of look that says, "So you know, and I know that I have no money. Uh, like I have no way to pay you back. This has been a constant standard, as I am broke and poor, straight up, all the time." Um, but Xander says, if my guest would like a little bit of the bourbon, and perhaps someone to share a glass with, if that's all right with you, as who's still here, out of curiosity, because I think it's just Grist, right? Yeah. And Xander sort of turns to Grist and says, "Unless you'd like to share a drink with us, I think it's only going to be two, but 2 glasses."
I always would like to share a drink. A drink makes any company bearable. Isn't that right, boss man? And I think Grist has like a habit of occasionally calling you boss man, even though there's no real reason for her to call you that.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Hammer of subtlety. And I think honestly, it's probably a little ritual between the two of them at this point. Because I think if Grist calls Xander that often enough, I think Xander's stock response is, "I'm not your boss," and will like, if Grist comes over, we'll ask Rose to pour 3 so that the 3 of them can share a toast together. But as that's happening, we'll go, "I have no idea what to toast for. Actually, I don't really do this very often. Any ideas, anyone?"
Who's talking? Is that you,
Oh,
Xander, or
that's my guest is a little shy. It's still me.
your guest? And what might their name be?
I don't know. Do you have a name? And like Xander will like turn and ask, because I think they go by. I think for Xander, one of the let's define some little gods and rules here. I think for the saint and for the little gods together, I don't think they need names. I think they can kind of tell what the god is about, and the god can tell what the saint is about sort of instinctually. So I don't think Xander ever uses names for them. I think like Xander knows that this is the little god of better times, but knows that without asking, and the little god knows that Xander is a saint without asking. So they don't really talk about it, I don't think.
Sure.
But then when you ask if they have a name,
Yeah.
you can feel the little god brushing up against your memories for a moment. And so I have to ask, what is the name, Grist, of your ex-lover?
Oh boy.
Oh, no.
Do I get to decide?
Good.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So we've had Rose, Astrid, and Jade. I think to pay homage to that. Oh my god, I'm so bad at names. Anyone else can hop in and pitch in here.
Sure. I'm pulling it. The trick is I've actually been pulling up my sci-fi name generator.
Oh, please
so.
do something queer. That's all
me,
I
like,
ask.
me typing loudly, Seventh Sanctum.
Oh, Seven Sancto is so good though.
Oh,
it's one of my
so
favorites.
useful.
How about I'm looking at
This little guy's gonna get me punched in the face. Like that's just gonna happen.
I feel like River is such a cute name though.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, yeah, let's do
Good.
River. Let's do River.
Cool.
And then so when you ask Xander, you hear a voice and your mouth moves at the same time and the word comes out, river. A river that flows between you and someone, almost but not quite. Love, better times, maybe, if you hadn't destroyed what? And the memory starts to fade.
This comes out of Xander's mouth?
Yep.
Okay,
hold on, and I think
Like, I think it comes out through that weird modulation, like there's a secondary voice layered on top of his.
Okay, yeah. I am going to kill that little god. I'm gonna try. Okay, so I think. Yep.
Cool.
I think
So go ahead and take
Yep.
another token, Zander, because using your body, using your mouth that time, I think, if you're okay with it.
Oh yeah,
Double
no, for
checking.
sure. I am so okay with this.
Okay. Grist, I think face doesn't visibly change, but they tighten a fist and they just say, like, as level-headed as they can, "I'm sorry, Zander." And then they bone spur punch. Like it's trying to, with like the purpose of like spearing the little god out through the spike.
Ooh.
Absolutely. Are you using one of your weak moves for this?
Oh boy. I mean, I have a lot. I have like 3 moves that are basically like you wreck shit. So
Yes,
I'm gonna resort to violence.
Ooh.
Pain is your tool.
Absolutely. And so you notice, like, before it hits Xander, the little god actually pushes itself out to make sure Xander doesn't get hurt in the process. And takes the... Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was gonna like jump ship and leave Xander to get speared.
That's also fair.
Like, bye.
Wow. Dick move. Well, we've got a better times. I
Oh,
would
no.
like.
Did I miscommunicate that? I mean that the little god takes the pain.
Yeah.
To make sure that Xander
No,
doesn't
no,
get
we
Yeah,
got
we
hurt.
got-
that.
we-
Yep,
Like,
yep.
That would have been a dick move.
Yeah.
So I would like to spend. Well, okay. I would like to offer a token.
Mm.
How does can you pay tokens to other players? How does that work?
Ooh, that's something I'm working
Ooh.
on.
Okay.
That I'm, because a lot of people have asked for it, even though it's not
Yeah.
something that's built into BOP. But good
Yeah.
question. It'll
That's fair.
probably be there by
I'm a
the
fate player, and so when we like, at least for me, like the mechanic of like offer somebody something to
Well, do you want
So-
Grist to ask for their kindness? Because then you can get a token for it.
Oh.
So I think I don't think so, because I think, hold on. So I think Xander isn't the type to ask something of somebody. He's the type to do it himself and take the consequence for it.
Mm.
So I think for him, it's I would like to offer a token to Grist, specifically to make what I hope for more real, which is that little god isn't going to suffer any danger, and if it's going to happen, it's going to be to me, because I can take it. Little god has been through a rough time. And what I'd like to do is offer that token so that kind of almost a trick of fate or just sheer bad luck, Grist slips on a patch of the bourbon or the ramen that's shattered on the ground, and the strike that would have hit that little god falls short by a couple inches and strikes Xander squarely in the face, like Grist would have if they'd been aiming for the two of them still together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, sorry, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Didn't Grist like do like bone knife?
Yeah, I mean, we're gods, right? Kind of. So I feel like we could heal and like take some shit.
I mean, like,
To a
I feel
certain
like it's not like enough of a pound. Like, it's a pounding where I feel like what I think it's really super cool because Xander's like true form anyway is like little lights bursting through the cracks of what is a normally like what a normal human. So I feel like even if that happens, the only thing left will be like light peering out through the broken skin and sort of
I like
weave
that.
itself back together. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure how like Jammi said, like if there's like token transference rules yet. So I'm cool like not taking a token if you're
Okay.
cool with just like spending one.
I have no idea how it works. I figured I'd just ask, but I'm cool. I'm cool to spend it for that to happen. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, does it feel sort of like a string of fate being like pulled a little, like this is the power we exude on reality, and like you pulled on it a little to cause me to miss the little god.
Yep.
Am I aware of this? I feel like I'll let you decide that, Zander.
Ooh.
But-
That's a hard question.
Because it's interesting
feel
either
like-
way.
I feel like maybe you know something's up. You're not quite sure necessarily what Xander did, but you know Xander did something.
Okay.
Because like you don't miss.
Yeah,
Right?
no, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
What does it look like as the little god yeets itself as you yeet it out of your body?
Ooh. Well, because I mean, if it's taken on like that memory of your better time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like river, like a ghost of river, kind of like sort of digitized, sort of flees backwards, and as you go forward, Zander sort of tilts off to one side, and you sort of slip, and then it sort of results in the hit landing, and him sort of falling into it. As you sort of fall into it, so both of us sort of simultaneously just stumble into it. Yeah.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
like a
and and I think as that happens, Grist, you see this little god that's wearing River's face, but it's like wearing a different set of clothes, but the face is exactly like River. And the little god is fearful of you. And you remember the last time River looked at you with that kind of fear.
Why are you doing this to me, Jammi? It's like session 1. Okay.
Why are you making all of that my fault again?
Oh wow. Okay.
Good.
Would it be bad if I say I'm holding back in this moment? But
No,
please,
good.
go all
I'm
out.
excited for the full
Go
knife.
all
I'm
out.
excited. I'm excited when Jammi's
So-
just like, all right, so that was a knife, here's a sword, and I'm gonna be like, great, bring it on.
But as that happens, Grist, you feel Rose's hand on your shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and Rose just says, Grist, it's okay. Just deep breaths. And Rose is not afraid of you.
Oh, ooh, okay. Gross shippers rise up. Chris, I think the
Really?
bone spur.
Gross?
I don't know.
Gross? Okay.
Good.
The bone spur like squelks out of Xander's face and like retracts into the wrist. And Grist is like just like half lunged, like out of the seat, like panting really hard, like she's just run a marathon. Her eyes like fixed on that specter, sort of like looming behind Zander. And she just sort of like sits back down and looking at both sort of like Zander and the little god. She just goes, You don't wear her, or I will fucking burn you to the ground.
And then we see like the little god starts to back away, and they say, burn like the building, burn it all to the
Jesus
ground.
Christ, Jammi! Oh my god, you're okay.
And there's the
couldn't
twist. There's the twist.
Do my elemental, okay, so do the special like Aswang moves take tokens, or can I just use them?
Ooh, so you can just use them as you like with consequence, or you can spend a token to make sure you can use them safely. And I will say that before you decide what to do, like as they say that, you can tell Rose can hear the little guide, and Rose is pretending that she can't hear it. But she reaches over and she says, Grist, just look at me. Can you do that? And she's looking deep into your eyes, and she goes, just breathe with me. Grist, are you there?
You can see it? I don't understand, Rose. How?
And then Rose looks really sad for a moment, and she says, I'll tell you everything. Just stay with me in this moment, please.
That was a hard one. Okay, yeah. Grist puts down her fist and just says to the little god, get out.
And the little god nods, and the little god looks at you, Zander, really sad. You can sense the shame coming off of them. And then the little god says, until better times, as they start to fade away. But Grist, for that moment of intimately connecting with Rose, why don't you take a token?
Oh yeah, I have so many tokens. Oh,
So
God.
token.
Okay. Great.
You're so powerful.
Yes.
In exchange for all that pain, here's a token.
Oh Jesus. Oh
Narrative
Zander.
power in exchange for angst.
Yeah.
I think as when the little god says, till better times, I think Xander like sort of turns back. You can sort of see like the flesh around like the broken parts of him that are like and they're sort of bleeding light. Kind of it's casting I think a shadow off in a direction. And I think the lights in the ramen stall start to flicker, or the ones that are left anyway after the original spout of violence start to flicker in time as the light within him starts to flicker and it sort of knits itself back together. And he turns back to the little god and says,
Some people don't remember better times so fondly. And then, as
it sort of closes back down, turns back to Grist and says, sorry for disturbing your dinner, and walks out.
So good, so good. I am going to say that, Xander, you did try to have that moment of that cheers for the little god for everybody. So I'll still give you a token for fostering hope and peace in the Haven. And Mary, you did go out of your way to help Rose. So why don't you take a token for going out of your way to help someone from the Haven too?
Oh, okay.
All right. So I think what I'd like to do is, as we bring this session to a close, could we take a look at Ismeria and Christin possibly, or I'd like to have a moment to see who would like to go next, Christin or Ismeria?
Christin can go. Go ahead.
Christine's gonna take the ramen that was prepared for them and deliver it to just someone in need that's in the city. That's usually that's usually what they do with the food that Rose makes for them.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I think this is either you can intimately connect to someone from the Haven or go out of your way to help someone. What do you? I guess it depends on like how much you're going to go out of your way to help this person. If it's someone dangerous that you're going to give the food to, if it's going to be someone nearby.
If there's someone nearby, then
Yeah, I think you see that there's a tattoo artist nearby. They see you come in and they have like those huge goggles on, and you can see their sharp ears, their augmented ears from behind it, the shocking red hair, and they nod towards you, and they smile and they say, "Christin, you're a good one." As you put the ramen down.
a gentle, warm breeze blows through around it. That's my greeting.
Awesome. Yeah, so go ahead and take a token for it. And then we'll take a look at Ismeria. What are you up to? Are you still in your mouse form, moving around Haven?
No, I think I made it to I ran around for a bit. Got the emotions out, not knowing that bigger emotions were happening. But I think I made it to where one of my friends, one of the MCs connected to me, is a holo artist, Elemental, the one responsible for all the emotional graffiti. This is all her fault.
Our best supporting character, the graffiti.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and this is the one who created it. Her name is Blooming, and I think I crawl into her study like as a mouse. She's probably like working, and then I just kind of like stand up back in my human form, and I just kind of like just probably like a couch, and I'm just kind of like sitting down, looking nervous, and say like, "We're not bringing Grist with us, that's for sure. We're not bringing her when we finally leave the city."
And Blooming sighs and says, "Okay, so am I supposed to? Because you bring up Grist a lot. I'm just saying."
Well, she's she was and always will be a pain, and you just gotta bring up pain anyway. She's not coming with us, so it's fine. It's final.
Oh, well, I mean, and the thing is, like, she says, if that's what you want, and we see like she's working on this hollow painting, and if you look at it from a certain angle, it's kind of like it kind of looks like a abstract version of Grist, but then it flickers and it changes instead uh, to something else, like to one of the. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna say it looks like a predatory animal. I think it looks like a large panther instead, and there's blood in the same way that the blood was coming from the mouth of Grist earlier. It kind of looks like that. And Blooming says, "I mean, if you say so, I'll trust you on this."
I I told you the plan is solid. The plan is fine. I could do it. I could leave the city. All you need are wings. I'm just gonna give everyone wings, and we can all just go.
Right, right, because it's that easy, she says, but she's smiling at you.
This guy probably not gonna fire off to the next session. I will spend one of my tokens to. I'm saying this on the record. Um, to where is it? There we go. Embody the wisdom and chaos of the spirit realm, and I think you can see like Ismeria is like holding one of their fingers and they're fiddling with the holographics around their head, and I think like the images kind of shift. It's akin to like what Blooming's doing. It's like Ismera's like sculpting like a plan using the holographics covering their head, and you can see like it's a lot of like shots of birds, of wings, of animals that can fly, um, and people adopting those forms. Um, and yeah, I think I kind of want to end on that shot.
Ooh, I kind of like the idea there are all these empty hollow canvases behind you, and they all start to fill with the wings, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right. And so before we officially wind things down, I just want everybody to know, because as you brought up, like some people have quite a lot of tokens. So you can use them on your strong moves as you like. But there is sort of like a progression mechanic in Balikbayan where you can build up and gain more moves as you get better at connecting to the city, right? So this is just something you can take a look at if you want to. For example, once we unlock the market, you can unlock contacts and moves with the market. Uh, and so you can do the same for the sensorium, you can do the same for the lab. And once we do enough of that, we can start working towards the full rebirth of magic. That's kind of the idea. But I'm happy to talk about that. Next time, you can just take a look at it for now and see what you might want to spend your tokens on now or next time, whatever you like. But yeah, that's basically. So
Cool.
today was.
Can you only
Uh-huh.
spend there's one
Mhm.
token at a time, right?
Oh, so if it's any of this building stuff, so I'll just read through it at the end of every session. Declare how many tokens the group spends on blank, the market, the sensorium, or the lab, and then we go through a montage like what do you do to earn the trust of those who live and work in the market, or what do you do to impress or entice those who control the sensorium, so on and so forth. And then you can just spend as many as you like, right? So you just need to spend 10 tokens to unlock something. So for example, if someone gives 2 and another person gives 3 and another person gives 1, until we can build it up and unlock things basically.
Oh, I think we should do that on our stream actually. Do you
Yeah,
think we can we can do that right now?
sure. If people want, I think it'll only take a few minutes.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then we can do like the aesthetics and the threats next time when we start up, if people want that. So what do we want to start uh, unlocking more moves of the market? I feel like we've been kind of leaning towards the sensorium, but the market's
Yeah.
still going to be cool. If people like, but the sensorium feels real because Rose promised like to give Grist more information, so it could happen at the sensorium next time.
Ooh, first
Yeah.
stage? Let's do it.
Yeah.
I had to do something to make up for all the swords and daggers. So we're gonna go on a date. But yeah, so
Because nothing bad ever happens on a date in an anime.
but yeah, so how many tokens would people like to give? I'll go around in character keeper order, and no pressure, right? If you don't want to, if you want to keep the tokens, that's totally fine, right? So Ismaria, do you want to spend any of your tokens?
I'll spend them all. Well, there are only 2 compared to everyone else, but so probably drop in the bucket. But yeah, I
That's
think
still a
this
lot.
kind of
Yeah.
this kind of represents like okay, Ismaria moving forward with their plan. Apparently, they need people. They need to know people in the sensorium. So yeah, I'll spend 2 for that.
Nice. Yeah, I like that idea. That's very, very cool. All
I
right. Mm-hmm.
I'm cool. I will spend all of mine. I'll spend 5 tokens. Because I feel like I'm just gonna like be chaotic next session too, and like rack up those tokens for my weak moves anyway. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Ballin'.
Very cool.
we need 3 more.
Ooh, yeah. So let's ask Christin, do you want to spend any of your tokens on this?
I'll spend 1 on the forest.
Oh, okay. So I know that that's super exciting, but we haven't found the heart of the city yet. So yeah. But we can these numbers I'm probably gonna cheat and make it easy for us to get to this part so we can fit it within the 4 sessions we have on Asian Represents. But I promise next week we can start looking into it for sure.
Oh, well,
so if you want to save your tokens for now, that's totally cool.
I want to spend the all my tokens for us to fully unlock the sensorium. So I can spend 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so when you unlock the, technically, the sensorium is always there, but you get to access. I'm probably going to add more moves, but for now, and we can always change our mind later once I add them. You can choose a hidden power and a move. So I'll read through the sensorium moves.
Yeah.
Perform feats of, so every time you do one of these things in the sensorium, you can earn a token for it, right? So they are, the options are perform feats of might and magic to the crowds, get caught up in a struggle for power, or sell a part of your soul to a discerning client. No big deal. And then for the hidden power stuff, we have 4 options here. Hiss, the information broker, leads the spies of the sensorium. Kisapmata tells fortunes from blood and memory freely given. Lion is a vigilante and their hunting grounds is the sensorium. And the Mambabarang creates swarms of nanomachines that carry curses. So which ones would we like to unlock? Which ones are we interested in?
I like the person who basically trades in blood and memories.
Ooh, Kisapmata. Yeah, so
Super cool.
Kisapmata, yeah. That's Tagalog for blink of an eye. So I'll go ahead. We'll get Kisapmata. And I feel like that's kind of in line with what we've been doing so far recently. So that's pretty cool. How about the move? Which one do we want to get? Like, what would be fun for us to engage with?
Selling your soul.
Oh yeah.
Really interesting.
I feel like that's where we're headed, right? All right. So the move that we got is sell a part of your soul to a discerning client, and Kisapmata tells fortunes from blood and memory freely given. And then I think we'll choose the leader, aesthetics, and threats next time. We'll probably start in the sensorium next week. I think that would be super fun, right? But yeah, so this is like very fresh mechanics. Like,
real quick, I'm gonna put 3 in the lab.
Ooh,
sure.
Sure.
Spend
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll hoard it forever and never use it.
Right.
So we've got to get rid of it now before it gets too big.
Yeah. That's kind of why I did this though, because like for it can be easy to rack up tokens. And I made another game where we had this base building stuff, and it was super fun. So I wanted to bring that into Balikbayan with the idea like you're connecting to the city, and connecting to more people in it. But yeah, so basically that's our first session of Balikbayan Into the Dark. That was like a lot of daggers, a lot of swords. I have to admit, mostly aimed at Grist, but I will. Don't worry, everyone will get their chance. Thank you, Zander, for letting me use, for letting me drag Zander into this mess more than once. Uh, I'm super excited. I really loved Ismeria's moments with the drone and that like horse running away with the graffiti. I really like that, and I was so surprised with Mary and that moment with Jade. That was very very cool. I like that a lot. And Christin with the guardian spirit, um, with the guardian of the forest, and that little ramen moment was really cute too. So I'm really excited. I obviously had a lot of fun playing Rose. She's really great. I loved how everybody helped bring her to life in her ramen shop. So we'll see how it goes. And so we're going to do Stars and Wishes like off stream, I think, just to connect with everybody. But for everybody watching the stream, thank you so much. It was so great having everybody here. We're going to do our outros, where you can find us, what we're up to. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Jammi. I use they them pronouns. I forgot to mention that I made this game. So I made Balikbayan. I'm working on it. And I'm please watch out for a Balikbayan news that's going to come later this year. I'm really excited about it, but I'm working hard on this game. And Apocalypse Keys. Apocalypse Keys is a game of supernatural divine horror, some people have called it, which I really like. So I think I'm going to keep the divine horror concept. But it's basically Hellboy BPRD except Monster Hearts, I'm going to say. So that's Apocalypse Keys. Solve mysteries and kiss as monsters. That's how it goes. And you can find me on Twitter at Temporal Hiccup, and you can also find me on itch.io at Temporal Hiccup as well. Please come and talk to me anytime. I love meeting people online. It's very cool. And so I think I want to go to Agatha next, because this is all the reason why we're here is because of Agatha. Agatha put everything together for us, is producing this, is helping us out and pulled the cast together. So thank you so much, Agatha. What are you up to and where can we find you?
So you can find me on Twitter at Mighty Shrimp with 2 Y's. Yeah, and you can also find me on this stream and the stream on Friday, the wrap up at 7 p.m. Eastern time, just like this. So yeah, join us for Lunar New Year. I think people are playing Smite or something. Anyway, but yeah, Asians represent Twitch. And let's go around. Let's go to my left and go to Connie.
Great, sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I have been Grist, whose pronouns are she, he, they, and it. You can find me on Twitter at by Connie Chong. I am also the GM and executive producer for Transplanar RPG. On Twitter, we are an all transgender, people of color led D&D 5th edition. I know, taking in the booze, but we're doing our best to homebrew it into something.
Oh no, but you're doing a lot of good work. Okay, I just have to quickly say, Connie did a really good video about how they're addressing a lot of stuff. So you should check it out. It's very good.
Oh,
really
thank you so much, Jammi.
Anyway.
You're so sweet. Yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, oh, my heart. Yeah, but yeah, we're doing our best to like basically break D&D and maybe, I don't know, transition to another system at some point. Who knows? But yeah, we stream Saturdays at 3 p.m. Central U.S. time, and this coming Valentine's Day at 4 p.m. U.S. Central time, we are playing a one-shot of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. We're very excited for that. It's going to be Apocalypse Gaze. Yeah, very good. And yeah, that is all. I will pass it along to whoever's next.
Let's go to Ting.
Hey, I'm Ting. Find me on Twitter, Ting Tut. All my other links are there. Do some game design, stream sometimes. Tuesdays, find me on Nerds with Dice at 8 p.m. We play in a Risk campaign. Then Wednesdays, I'm here playing this a wonderful game with these lovely people.
Nice. And Leandro?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at lpondoc. That's LPONDOC. I've belabored the joke. It's going to be incredibly unfunny 2 weeks from now when I repeat it. But that's 2 weeks from now. Yeah, you can find all the stuff I do there. Again, I'll shout out the charity stream that I'm involved with for Roll Plus Bond. We're still polling our server of our community as to which charity to support. Again, as the weeks go on, as the series go on, I'll have more info, but that's going to be on from the 26th to the 28th at the end of the month. Just a plethora, a smorgasbord, a buffet of indie games, non-stop streaming.
Now I'm hungry.
I'm sorry. But yeah, that's me for now.
Saved all the best for last, John.
Ew, no. Not the best for last.
Oh,
The best in a
wor-
really good line. Like the
worst?
best in a lineup of best people. Like all of you are great.
Oh, okay. All the best.
Anyways, yeah, we're all the best. So thank you very much. I am John. You can find me over at Ryamasa, RY0MASA on Twitter, and Ryamasa on Twitch without the 0 and an O. I am on this game, obviously, 7 to 9:30, 10-ish on Wednesdays. No, it's good. I'm enjoying. I could go for several hours after this, but that is untenable. But also on Thursday, you can find me at 8 p.m. EST over on Unmade Gaming for Entanglement, an Expanse RPG campaign, where it's a dysfunctional family of spacefaring morons, just doing their best to get it to make things as complicated for each other as possible. And as well as I've actually recently started streaming on Twitch. I do Tuesdays and Thursdays around 2 to 3 p.m. EST. And then occasionally some surprise 2 a.m. I have insomnia and can't sleep, so I guess it's Hades time streams. But yeah, check it out. It's cool stuff, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you very much, Agatha, for this whole game. And all of you people are great.
So yeah, wonderful. Thanks everyone so much for tuning in, and thank you also to all the people that are going to catch this on video on demand, which is going to be no, not video. Well, basically the video version, it's going to be on our YouTube channel as well. So if you miss anything, because you had to go to the washroom or deal with fam, well, you can always catch up there. And thank you so much again. I will see you all